We off in this place, catching vibe.
What's going on, Virtual Smoke Deck? What's going on, Cigar World? It's Jack the Cigar Enthusiast.
And this is Sean with the smoking section.
And we are the Virtual Smoke Deck. I hope everybody is having a great day, great time. I hope your team was winningful. Or
Winningful?
Winningful?
What, that sounded right. That sounded right.
Winningful?
Winningful.
We're going to go with it. We're going to go.
Why not?
Hopefully your team was definitely won today. If not, oh well, be an Eagles fan, and you'll win a little bit more football games. That being said, man, I'm excited, man. It's Sunday. Obviously, I've been yelling. I lost my voice a little bit, so this should be a great show. We have an action-packed show for you, and as you see, we obviously messed up how we do our interests now. So we're gonna go ahead and try that back. Today, we're talking about Hurricane Ian and the effects it had on the cigar industry.
We off in this place, catching vibes. Sit back and we blaze in the sky like I'm out of space.
Man, so I hope everybody had a great weekend, man. Sean, how was your weekend, bro?
Just full of unpacking some boxes. I'm finally in my house. Jess is living there full time with me right now, so it's just a lot of unpacking, trying to get some stuff taken care of.
For now?
A little bit of this. What's
For
that?
now?
Yeah, for now. There's always something to do.
No,
Always
I'm
something
saying,
to do.
You said Jess is living, just moved in for now. So I mean, I don't know. I know if she was temporarily there or.
It all depends on how long she can put up with me. That's.
Well, I tell you what, if she couldn't put up with it, she wouldn't be there right now. So
This is true. This is true. But she hasn't lived with me full time yet. She's only had like 5-6 hours at a time. So we'll see how everything goes.
So this is like
the test.
Oh, this is exciting.
This is exciting.
So you're gonna see where she like to put her dirty clothes at, and
yep,
we're
already going through it.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, Jack, I mean, we're getting ready for the wedding coming up in October, this month, October 29th. So we're going to be going that way. And I see Ron is already giving us some Fly Eagles Fly. So congratulations on that big win today, guys.
Hey, it was a huge win. I'm in Jacksonville. So what's up, my boy, Charles?
What's up, Charles?
Smoking a Crown Head, Jericho Hill. It's Knob Creek. Man, I got the limited edition factory exclusive Macala Lancero that I'm smoking on, and I can't disclose what I'm drinking because where I'm drinking at. So, nevertheless, we're gonna stick with apple juice is what I'm drinking. Apple juice for the record.
Yep.
So what you smoking, Sean?
I'm actually smoking the Cocoa by Blackbird Cigars.
And how is Blackbird, man?
You know, I'll be honest with you. Blackbird has probably come up into probably my top 5 cigars.
Really?
In all honesty, they are a high quality cigar. They have so many different options for all different types of cigar smokers, whether or not you like a full body, a mild to medium, you're more along the lines of like an easygoing cigar. Every cigar that Blackbird Cigars has is absolutely amazing. I highly suggest that anybody who has not tried Blackbird cigars yet gives it a try. That's just me though.
Now, if it was shitty, would you tell us?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
Absolutely. You know, and the funny thing is, if I thought it was shitty, I don't know if I would honestly say that it was shitty. I would just say it might not be my cup of tea, but it would definitely be yours. You know, something more classy.
You know, I've heard a lot about Blackbird, and Blackbird has some amazing marketing. So let's start there.
Yep.
Packaging is amazing. It almost reminds me of like Camacho type deal.
Yep. Very bright and vibrant. Yep.
Yes. Like it draws you in. Like when you're looking at a shelf full of cigars, that one just seems like it pops out. I haven't smoked any because I haven't been anywhere that I carried them, and we unfortunately don't carry them. But I'm curious to give them a shot and see how they end up turning out, man.
Well, one of the cool things that I actually like about Blackbird cigars is if you're first time into a cigar lounge and you're trying to figure out what to smoke, on the underside of the lid, they actually have a little intensity bar that kind of shows you how much flavor there is, or, whether it's like mild to medium or full body. So it kind of gives you a good idea about, oh man, that has like 6 bars filled up, where this one only has like 2 or 3. Maybe I'll start with the one that's 2 or 3. So it kind of is very smoker friendly to those who are just starting out.
And I think that's interesting too, because that's exactly what Camacho does. Like, they have that intensity bar, and I think they even have it on their Avo and its musical notes on Avo.
Yes. Yep.
Who else does that? Somebody else does that, and I cannot think of. But a lot of people are starting to do that because it simplifies smoking for people and kind of allows them to just, kind of get into those palatable areas that they want to be in just by looking at it. Because a lot of people don't have tobacconists and people, let alone that have a clue what they're talking about when they walk into it. So it kind of simplifies the process.
And it could be a good thing or a bad thing, because I do see that more cigar companies are starting to try and implement that. But I also think that could also be a cheap way for someone who maybe owns a cigar shop to not be as personal with their customer, to actually talk about the cigar versus, oh, we'll just go look at the back of the box. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. But I think for, if there's only a few cigar companies out there that are doing it, I think it's pretty nice that, not every cigar company is out there doing it right now. It gives a little bit of a change to some things.
Absolutely. And it's awesome to talk to. He would be, that's the guy that owns Blackbird, right?
Yes.
Okay. So see if we can get him tagged into here so you can at least get it on his radar, and we can definitely bring him down for a conversation.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying the Quintiana Maduro Dominican. Have you tried it? Who makes it? I have never heard of Quintiana.
Yeah, neither have I.
Maduro. And that means that you're cheating on us, Benny. That's what that means. That's what that means. No,
Benny in trouble.
Hey, Benny, how about those Eagles? How about those Eagles? Hey, look, kind of switching gears, man. Getting into our quick little football talk, man. Man, we had some hell of a games happen today, man.
Yes.
The Eagles played the Jaguars. Jaguars is home team now.
Yep.
But I'm still a diehard Eagles fan, so I'm not going to switch that up. And, boy, I was talking cold cash crap in the shop today, man.
Oh, I can imagine.
Cold cash. These mugs. I told I got to the end, and when we won, I said, we got to the end. I said, you got a tab? Go ahead and close it out and just leave.
Well, hey, you were telling me that the Eagles are number 1 in their division, correct?
The Eagles are number 1 in the NFL.
Okay, because right now I think my Miami Dolphins are actually first in the AFC right now.
Yeah,
in the AFC East.
Yeah, I think they're so. I think Buffalo is probably going to be at the top prior to the closing of. I give you that one bird that I don't really mind. I'll be okay with that. Go Falcons. But I think the Bills had a monstrous comeback game against the Ravens, man.
Yeah.
Ravens was giving them the straight business.
Yep.
And that boy Josh Allen can never count him out, man. He came back and had a really good game.
Ooh, there he be. Thanks, Benny.
Hey, B, your team definitely got a lot of controversy surrounding them right now. Especially around what they did to Tua, and I was watching First Take, Get Up, all that stuff, and one thing that all of them had in common was there needs to be processes that protect people from themselves, right? So same in any business, right? We got things implemented in processes and ways here at Dapper D's to protect myself from myself, right? We have hired certain people to do certain things to make sure that I don't mess up anything. And so you think of an organization as big as the Dolphins, and you say, okay, how many people screwed up and letting Tua get back on that to let Tua get back on that field? And the answer is a lot. A lot of people screwed up, right? Especially Tua. But when you're that young and you finally reaching something that you had dreams and aspiration for, and playing at a level that nobody thought you could play at, especially after last year. People were dogging to it. Now all of a sudden they're freaking heroes of them. He's their hero. He's their superhero. But now we're here now, and now this guy can potentially be, mentally messed up for a long time. Like, and it's just unfortunate, man.
And I think accountability goes. I think you're absolutely right. I think accountability goes across the board. I know that, like, if I'm at work and I'm, my back's hurting, I'm not going to go try and lift a 150-pound motor. I'm going to, or at least not by myself. I'm going to try and have somebody for help. So, I mean, you kind of got to have that mental awareness of, hey, something ain't right. Yes, I need a paycheck, but I'm not going to kill myself over it, because now if I'm out of work for good, that gravy train only rides so long.
Yeah.
And I think, especially with him being so young, now you're risking a chance of the rest of your career basically being over for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And now that sweet paycheck is now no more. So I think, especially with the front office too, they all need to take a look at these things, and everybody needs to start doing better, with checking out players and making sure that, everything's going well. The coaching staff needs to say, hey, you know what? We know you want to play, but let's give it another game or two.
Yeah.
And make sure everything's okay, And
even if that costs you your record or your chances of making the playoffs or whatever the case may be, it still shows the player more, right? It shows them that you care. And that's what life is about. It's showing people that you care. Even if you really, really don't, show them that you care. You know what I mean? Like, just like in some of the ways and the practices that you practice, like just do certain things. I don't really know how to explain it. I don't really know how to explain it too well. But it's just it's one of those things that's just so unfortunate.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's so unfortunate. And I can't wait to see how this process actually plays out. And the people that's getting held accountable and from coaching staffs and all that stuff. So Benny, we'll definitely be still rooting for the Dolphins, but they got some explaining to do from that end. So
for sure.
What's your team, Sean?
I'm a Dolphins fan, so
You're
I've been with them. I've been with them at their worst. I've been with them. I really can't say that they've ever had a best, at least not during my time.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those
Joe
people
Montana.
I mean, they've gone through a lot of changes, and I know that some of their changes I didn't quite understand. I know when they brought like Devon Bess over from the Eagles, and before he went to the Eagles, they basically kind of brought him in and said, well, you're never really going to be a part of this team. We're just going to use you as a trading card. And then they traded him over to the Eagles, and then here he goes walking away with a freaking Super Bowl ring that same year.
Yep.
So, I mean, I've been with them through all their crappy decisions. All I can hope for is now that, they're kind of on a good track. Maybe they'll start cleaning up, but then with all this controversy right now, it's not really looking too good. But we'll see what happens, man.
So kind of switching gears, speaking about Miami and Florida, period, man. I want to do like a 19-second moment of silence for the 19 people that has been confirmed killed due to Hurricane Ian. We'll do that, and then we'll start covering some of the footage, not the footage, but some of the details behind it. So we'll go ahead and start that right now. So, talking about Hurricane Ian. Hurricane Ian was probably one of the worst hurricanes that hit Florida. Yeah. But yes, it hit Florida, but it has some effects before it even got to Florida.
Yep.
So, talking about just kind of what happened in Dominican Republic, you want to cover that?
Well, I know that in the Dominican Republic, I know that we did have the William Ventura cigar factory that burned down, which does a lot with Room 101 in Cadwell. Mm-hmm. I know that it took them quite some time, from what I was reading, to put the fire out. It seemed like they had lost a lot of product, and that happened about between 1 and 3 a.m. in the morning, I believe.
Yeah.
which is really, really a tough hit. And I'm kind of curious as to see what Room 101 and Cadwell are going to, how they're going to bounce back from that. I know that that's not their only facility, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm kind of wondering how that's going to affect things from this point on, especially with, losing so much product.
So, William Ventura is like a smaller factory. So just to be frank, Hurricane Ian did not cause the William Ventura factory to close, to burn down, or to burn in the magnitude that it burned. It was a fire or something that happened within inside the facility, but it kind of all led up to this. So it was like William Ventura burns down, Cuba gets smacked, Florida gets smacked with hurricane. So just so everybody has the correlation of why this is coming up in this topic and in the direction it's at. So Caldwell and Room 101, actually cigars were blending at the William Ventura factory. Now, a lot of Caldwell stuff that he does is, sorry guys, my allergies has been acting up the last 2 days, so I apologize for scratching my nose and stuff like that. So the William Ventura factory actually created a lot of those cigars, right? The Doomsayer, the Farce, Eastern Standard, Long Live the King, Long Live the Queen. The T.
The King is dead.
The King is dead. So a lot of cigars came out the William Ventura factory, and what I don't think a lot of people know is also the William Ventura factory was one of those where Lost and Found came from. It was from the William Ventura factory, and where they were they obviously blended a lot of cigars for a lot of smaller guys, which is why they had these Lost and Found sections of it. So this fire was massive. I mean, they lost 800,000 cigars. Not cigars that was aging. Well, some of them were aging, but a lot of them was ready for packaging and ready to get shipped out. So these cigars have probably been held on to 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and now they're about to get ready to hit the market, and then boom, this happens. So I know Long Live the Queen was supposed to come out here. So I want to know how. I wish I could, call Robert Caldwell in here and let him tell us. But I want to know how Long Live the Queen is affected by this fire, because I would imagine just my thought process of putting things together that cigar would have been coming out of the William Ventura factory. Now
I see here, plans have already begun to produce cigars elsewhere. Cadwell says he'll be working with the Ventura factory to restart production at a satellite facility and the company's other cigar factories in the coming weeks.
And JJ, my boy James, I believe that you are correct as well. I can't be 100% sure because I don't know off the top of my head. But if it's coming from you, then it has to have some relevancy on being a factual statement. So look into that and let us know. But yeah, I mean, I get it. They're trying to work, building cigars and doing all that. They have the recipe book, but the thing about recipes, you don't, if you don't have the seasonings for it, right? The seasoned tobacco, the tobaccos that have been fermented for X, Y, and Z amount of time that goes into the curation process and blending process of an actual cigar. With that. And then even to Dan's point, even with insurance, tobacco inventory loss may be catastrophic. So much time's lost. And you're absolutely right. And that's the part that you can't get back. And then here's also the part is, when you file an insurance claim, you're really filing it based off of what it is, not what it can become. Yep. Right. So you're making this claim for, this actual factory saying, we lost, let's just say 800,000 cigars. We convert that into a metric number. Hold on, give me a second. Times cost 7. So you're talking about $5.6 million. And this is just based off a $7 price point of retail value that you lost with 800,000 cigars. Now, as we know on the back end, it's substantially less because of what it would cost, what it will be sold to, right? So you have a number that it sells to the manufacturer for, then the manufacturer sells it to the consumer, which makes up the MSRP. But also, yes, to get them fermented tobaccos. But here, I'm gonna jump back. I'm gonna keep that comment up because I want to jump back to it. But the basis and purpose is it's a lot of resources and a potential profits that you can't make up in an insurance claim.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Those curing barns. What is the value of that? You know, what is the value of the product? You're talking acres of tobacco that is set into these fermentation pots, and you know, these curing barns and stuff like that is there for months, for years, undergoing the curation process that it takes to finally get it to the cigar. So how do you value that? And that I mean, that's going to be the biggest question. But to kind of backpedal and say, Dan is absolutely right. The biggest thing that they cannot get back on that insurance claim is time.
Right.
Right.
And I mean, if you put that into perspective for somebody who might not be looking at this as in, well, just go to another plantation and grab some more tobacco leaves and just start drying them again. Take Maker's Mark, for instance, or any of your favorite scotches or bourbons or whiskeys. That place that they were sitting there and fermenting in those barrels that have had years and years and years of any of those sitting in there and curing, all of those barrels have now gone up in smoke. Now those really nice wood flavors and this and that you had spent years, maybe 50 years using those same barrels to get those flavors are all gone. You can't just go down the street and find another barrel that had 50 years of something else in it and say, oh, that's going to be the same exact thing. You're going to have something completely different, something off the rails that you're not going to be able to get back, you know?
And you're absolutely right. And that's the part of the process. So even kind of taking a step further, like even on the stuff that burned, like some of that tobacco that even wasn't maybe not affected was still affected because it was affected by the burnt taste. So you probably can't roll that. Even when you roll the leaf to just try to taste and see what it is, you're probably going to have to burn that batch. So you're talking and how cigar factories work. A lot of them age in year cycles, right? So not every single year you get the same crop, right? So you may get more rain this year, which produces a better crop. You may get less rain that produces a better filler or a better binder or something like that. But nevertheless, you can never get that back, right? That's the part that you don't know what you can get back, and it's a really bad situation for them. And then kind of get into JJ's question, it even, you know, with manufacturers coming, you know, Arturo Fuente, Davidoff, these other factories that are out there just assisting them in the magnitudes that they can assist, they're only limited to how much they can assist, right? Because you still got to formulate the recipe. And now on the other part, you may have access to some better tobaccos that you probably didn't have access to create the blend, which can make the blend pop. So what happens when the blend has to go back to its normal state? Right.
And that always fascinated me because if you wound up having a box of, let's just say your favorite cigars, and because Dan came in, let's just say that you have a box of McAuliffe's that you bought 2 years ago. You smoke all of those cigars and they all smoke relatively the same. But now 2 years later, you ended up buying another box of those same exact McAuliffe's and you're realizing, well, these tasted a little bit different than the ones I had 2 years ago. Well, it's different crop. You know, you might have, like you said, might have more rain, might have different soil. When you rotate your crops, maybe you had it growing in a different area that now it's getting different nutrients and different minerals in a different area now. So that's why it's kind of a shame for us as the consumers to look at this and say to ourselves, well, we didn't even get to taste, you know, long live the queen, because
we don't yet. We
don't know yet.
We're speculating.
Right. You know, we might not have been able to taste that first blend, so we won't know anything different. But as they wound up testing those and saying, man, this is the cigar, this is that cigar, we'll never get to know that. because now they're gone.
And Dan said it right. You're always adjusting your blends on the current tobacco in your inventory. That's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing, right? Especially for people that may fall in love with a cigar. Like even right now, I'm hearing a lot of people say that the Fat Bottom Betty is not tasting like the Fat Bottom Betty used to.
And it's
now,
not.
I don't have a clue of because I don't smoke it enough to know. But when you got people that come in and buy boxes of this and saying that, then that's a problem, right? That messes up the consumption part of that brand, and then that affects the sales part, and that also affects the distribution part of it and the manufacturing of it. So, I think it's a sad time. And then, Dan made another valid point. Dan is just on with the valid points today.
Yeah,
we're not even talking about the employees and families that lost their jobs or lost their livelihood for that matter. And then on top of that, you think about William Ventura on another spectrum and say, these guys, these men, women that look to the tobacco industry to supply their financial needs, where they may have had loyalty to William Ventura, now they're looking what they can do to keep their lights on. So, these people may be going to work for other companies and probably would never come back. So again, you're talking about another round of. It's just a sad event, man. It's literally just an all around sad situation, and for people like us that love the industry and love to see the industry prosper, this is a couple steps back for us, and it's not something that we could have prevented.
Right. And I mean, Dan is absolutely right. I mean, us as consumers, we're always kind of looking at things, saying to ourselves like, oh man, now that cigar that I really wanted to try isn't coming back. Or even you, Jack, if you had an order for some of these cigars that, you were going to have come to your shop, now you're kind of sitting on something saying, okay, well, now what do I do? I've already talked to a few people about, bringing these in, and now you're kind of stuck with the bill. So it's not just tobacco or just the buildings. There's so many different things that this plays out, and how many people this actually affects that could really hurt everyone in the process, which is just absolutely horrendous in this, neighborhood of cigars and consumers and producers, Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, Sean. And like I said, I mean, even Charles said it, and that's exactly to my point. Well, they still have the staff to do what they need to do, and that's and again, we already know how hard it is for these manufacturers to keep good people, because there's so much competition out there, right? It's so many more or less rigorous jobs that they can be doing, but at the end of the day, our prayers can only go out to them. I'm sure they have been game planning and scheming on what they can figure out and do this week. It's gonna definitely be a big thing. And packaging is tough. Just everything about it is terrible. So, and then talk about that, right? Going into Ian hitting Cuba, right? It hit one of the biggest areas known for Cuban cigars, which is the Pinar del Rio. Excuse me if I got that wrong. Pinar del Rio or area, which is it's like the most iconic and most well put together region to grow tobacco, and that's why people say it's hard to manipulate the tobacco taste because of that region, right? That region right there has perfect weather, almost seamlessly always has the right amount of rain. It's just really good. And for Ian to hit that and destroy that the way it did, it hit them at a Category 3 hurricane with 125 miles per hour winds and stuff like that. And some of the people that was in there, especially the Chanchulas de Barbaco, which is one of the best known tobacco farms out there. it was catastrophic for them. You know, they experienced almost a foot of rain flooding the tobacco bars, bro. Like, and even that soil. So you think about that soil,
disrupts it.
It disrupts it. Now, nobody's planting right now. Everybody's getting ready to plant. October, November time frame. Dan, please jump in on this. But I would imagine they start planting in October, start harvesting, second week of December or something like that, to start getting them into curing barns. But still, that soil was under, the digging process. And I don't know all the different processes to getting the soil ready, but it was going through that process of getting the fields ready to go ahead and start planting. And it just disrupts it a lot.
Now, I'm kind of a glass half full type of guy. So I almost wonder, now that soil's been disrupted. Now, I get it. When you go to plant, there's a lot that goes into it. There's tilling and all this. But I wonder how this storm could affect anything, if there's ever a positive note on this, that maybe in Cuba, if the ground wasn't tilled as deeply with things, does that bring some new things to the surface that maybe now that tobacco can start kind of taking on a new flavor for Cuban cigars?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a very negative thing. And I think that the whole, Hurricane Ian was absolutely just horrible. But I almost wonder if this could bring maybe a new type of flavoring to some of the old tobaccos that we're used to with some of the older cigars as Cuban cigars and this and that. I wonder if it has that effect on anything.
Well, here's my thought process. Cubans are so inconsistent already.
Yes.
Right. Like a lot of what Dan was talking about, how, manufacturers change up the blends based on their current inventory. That's how Cuba is almost damn near every year. Right. Yeah. Every single year, the recipe kind of stays the same.
They don't really rotate crops either.
No, it's like, okay, I'm gonna throw a little bit more pepper in here, a little bit more salt, because I think it might be better. And it's so inconsistent down to the way it's bunched, rolled, and wrapped. Right, because you have too many people doing it. So again, you're talking about an inconsistency throughout the entire process. But one of the main things they tried their hardest to stay consistent was the actual, the tobacco that they grew, right? They kept them same processes. They did the same processes over and over every single year. But seeing it kind of play out from, a rolling and manufacture roll is very skeptical. Barns, curing barns was destroyed. Yeah. Roofs was blown off of factories and stuff like that. So, there was a lot of stuff that happened, away. And again, like Charles, you brought up a good point. I don't think it's going to wash away the nutrients, or even add to it, but it's going to water it down. So think of it like this, right? If you got a plant and you dump a lot of water into it, right? A lot of water. What's going to happen to it? Let's take a step back. If you throw if you got a bucket, right? And you fill that bucket up to the top and you don't turn the water off, what's going to keep happening?
It's just going to overflow or push the bottom up.
It's going to overflow, right? So the point of that was kind of getting back to the plant. You dump in a whole bunch of water. What happens is all it's going to do is wash out and flood it out. It's going to drown. Pretty much think of it as drowning the leaf out or the plant out, right? So same concept. You want that soil, yes, to have some type of water balance to it, but you don't want it to be oversaturated with water because it does not create a habitable environment to grow a plant in.
And I think, and Charles, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think he might be going along the same lines of what I was thinking of. Depending on where the water lays and how close to something such as runoff would be, is that going to do anything to the soil that
dilute?
Yes, it's going to just fill up and then it's going to have runoff. Are we taking anything out of that soil that maybe as the water pushes down, some gets pushed up, it erodes it away, and now all of a sudden you're kind of stuck with maybe a new layer of soil that maybe we weren't hitting before? I know that Cuban cigars usually, at least in my experience, usually has kind of like a hay, maybe a grassy kind of taste. In some respects, sometimes kind of plain, doesn't have a lot to it. So could we possibly be eroding some of that old soil away, washing it out, throwing it somewhere, and getting maybe to a new level of dirt that maybe we're going to be now tilling and bringing some of that new stuff throughout it? Maybe.
I think that's an interesting perspective, and I'm no expert. Otherwise, I'll be something called a master blender. But I'm not that, and I'm far from it. And I think this is something that we should definitely raise a question to next week, even when we have Matt Booth on, or Joel Rojas when we have him on at the end of the month. These are questions that we should ask them, because I mean, honestly, I don't know the answer to that question, nor am I going to try to open my mouth to spew out hypocrisy on a topic that I'm not really familiar with. But I would imagine, just my opinion, I would imagine that it probably would dilute it more than anything. In farming, heavy rains can take out or erode some minerals, but could make other ones prominent.
Right. And I think you're right. I think right now we're only speculating for a lot of stuff.
Here we are is what is considered heavy rain. I guarantee heavy rain is not a foot of rain that is flooding, an area. You think of heavy rain, you're thinking, 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 inches of rain. You're not thinking 12 inches, a foot of freaking rain that's going to be in that. So, Charles, if you got some more knowledge on farming in that aspect, definitely let us know. Oh yeah. We spilled the beans, but I didn't know if anybody caught it. But yeah, we got Boofy, baby. Boofy is on the show. I'm not gonna say what Sean said in the background, because I don't do my people like that. But yes, we got Matt Booth in the building, and Rojas. We got Noel towards the end of the month. So, but yeah, man, it's interesting to see how. And then now we kind of move to Florida, right? Yep. Where it demolished. I mean, demolished Fort Myers.
Yep.
Fort Myers, there's a. I was talking to some of my reps that have that. We have some reps that I was talking to, and I have a good friend of mine that owns Stogie Pairings Cigar Lounge in Fort Myers. They were actually good. They're going to be without power for a couple weeks. I mean, that stuff. I don't know if he's out of power. I think he did tell me he was out of power last time we talked. I don't know if anything could have changes, but I know definitely by the beach. They were without power. I seen one image where the road was ripped. Yeah. Ripped from the other part of the road that it was attached to. That was freaking nuts. But there's a cigar lounge called Cigar Hut. Now I don't know the owner. I've seen it in one of my groups, and they had it. He showed it regular people walking by it. In the midst of the storm, the water levels got so high you only seen the roof of the building.
Really?
The roof, bro.
I mean, I think we're kind of looking at a really dangerous time right now, because especially with, Mother Nature has seemed to be going pretty crazy in at least the last maybe 3 to 5 years. I mean, if you think about it, and I know this is not really off topic, but I mean, I was just talking about, this to one of my friends. I said, when I was a kid, I remember going trick-or-treating, and I used to scream because I had to put a jacket on to hide my Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Now you got short sleeves. You can wear anything you want basically outside in October. So I mean, Mother Nature is changing. And right now it's a very weird time, for weather in general, and, that affects stores, that affects tobacco. I mean, we're seeing all sorts of things right now that, it's a very, very weird time. And my heart goes out to everybody in Florida. I think I was staying up with you, Jack, a little bit, making sure that you were okay, making sure that the shop's okay. And thank God Dapper D's is still right there and untouched, hopefully untouched, unharmed. But it's a very, very weird time right now for all sorts of different types of weather,
Yeah, there's a lot to that can be unpacked. Some would say it's climate change. Some would say it's the coming of Jesus. Some would say there's a lot of things that go into place.
Yep.
But one thing that we can all agree on, and it's unfortunate, and it's something that we have never seen, right? It's things that we have never seen before happening. And think about this, like, we watched a hurricane almost hit. I'm gonna call it this because the people act like they didn't want to call it what it was. It damn near, it was a Category 5 hurricane.
Yep.
It was 2 miles per hour less. Now you think of that.
Yep.
Think of going 2 miles per hour in a car.
Yep.
Right. 2 miles per hour less. You can't tell the difference between 4 and 2.
Yep.
You just can't.
Well,
right?
Try getting hit by a car at 90 and then have them turn around and say, well, I wasn't doing 90. I was only doing 88.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the freaking same thing. So it practically hit at a Category 5. Did a lot. I mean, the news anchors, the weather, the meteorologists out there could not track the movements of this hurricane as accurate as they said it was going to be. Like, it came up, came down, came up, hit Orlando, on its way to Jacksonville, in the middle of the night, goes 120 miles per hour. I mean, 120 miles east into the ocean. Missed us completely.
Yep.
Hit the ocean at a tropical storm. Hit South Carolina as a Category 1 again.
Yeah.
So it literally got out there, formulated, and hit again.
Yep.
Like, nobody could have said that was going to happen.
Oh, no. I mean,
at all.
It's, I know everybody gets mad at the weather people, and I think me being,
they're the only
me being
people
a Christian
in this world that get paid really good money to guess,
to get wrong or to guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, me being a Christian, there's some things that, I just don't think man is supposed to know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you didn't have the news to sit there and tell you that a hurricane was coming, what would you do? You know what I mean? Before they had the news, you'd read the paper and maybe they'd say, like, today's going to be sunny. Well, yeah, no shit. The light's out. I just bought the paper. But there's some things that I just don't think that we're meant to know. And I think Mother Nature is one of those things that says, hey, you think I'm coming, I might, but I might not. And I think that's what makes it really dangerous for anybody and everybody. And, I know that a lot of homes and everything, went underwater and took on water, but I think of the homeless population. Where do they go? Where do they go when there's flooding waters, to higher ground? You can't get into an apartment complex. You maybe go to a church, maybe go to a fire department, but where does the homeless go? You know what I mean? Yeah. There's so many different factors.
They had a lot of refugees, homeless people that went to these shelters. They man-made these shelters from schools, from recreational centers and stuff like that. But you're absolutely right. Like, where do they go in a real situation? Like, how many of the 19 people that actually died from Ian in Florida was homeless, right?
Yeah.
Or better yet, I know, Jack, you shouldn't say this.
Say it, Jack.
This is the virtual smoke deck, so I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
Well, how many of those people were stupid, right? Yeah. How many of those people did not heed the warnings and say, when they said, get out, it's gonna be bad, they said, it ain't gonna be that bad. I know my house, right? Yeah. It's the same people that's driving on E and be like, it still has a little bit. I know my car, right? I know my house. And then now they're getting rescued from their house because, yeah, man. It's
And we always
it's
have
nuts.
that though. We always have that. I mean, I think there's a difference between being proud and knowing, okay, look, there's going to be a little bit of rain, and when somebody says, this shit's going to get real, you got to sit there and say to yourself, okay, I'm 62 years old, 65, maybe even 45. Maybe I should heed this warning. You know what I mean? You got to start looking at that and, say you're not always going to be able to survive the next thing. You might have had to walk uphill 20 miles to get to school each day when you were 6. But now's a different time. It's a different time, and you should heed the warnings.
You know, I've seen some dumb things happen during this hurricane. Like people, like it was 11-foot waves crashing on a concrete wall, and people were out there trying to take selfies with it. Like,
yeah,
it was people swimming. It was, and here's the thing about being in Florida: when this flooding happens, it stops nothing. Right?
Yep.
We got gators already.
Yep.
We got sharks already.
Yep.
We got these big mammoth fish that we don't even still know what the heck they are.
Yep. So
you have them all swimming in houses, like legitimately, gators are swimming in people's houses.
Yep.
So I think it's just crazy, man. And kind of getting back to the context of everything is, there was factories. I mean, one of the biggest people that got hit in was Naples, Rocky Patel warehouse.
Yes, Rocky got hit pretty hard.
Rocky got hit pretty hard. Jeff took a little bit of damage, not much. I talked to Jeff personally, and he didn't tell me anything that he had. He said everything was good up his way. Lot less than what he could have. He did videos of his farm. Was nothing catastrophic there. But Rocky and Naples, their main warehouse guy took some stuff. Businesses closed down. I know we had closed down for a day. Actually, we closed down for a day and a half.
Yep. I'm looking right here. Ario Fuente wound up closing down for 2 days, and they wound up opening back up as well. That's over in Tampa.
You also had to think about how many elderly couldn't afford or who had a way to leave. There are dumbass people who refuse to leave, but also people people that can't and have to pray that they will make it through. And Charles, you're absolutely right.
Yep.
And we hopefully didn't make any statements that was insensitive to those type of people. But I mean, Charles, you're absolutely right. I mean, some people it costs a lot to evacuate, and not everybody has a good job that reimburse them if they have to, evacuate, or even the people that homes is destroyed. Like, what do you do? Like you still gotta front the cost of a hotel or something like that.
Yep.
And like we know how Katrina happened. I guarantee that these hotel owners tried to, skyrocket the room rates so they can get the most money that they possibly can out of people. And it's just an unfortunate time. And you just pray that these people that did get affected by this, have a ways to kind of just hold their head up and smile and say today is going to be better than it was yesterday, and honestly let that happen. I know one of my good friends, his father-in-law, Lanai, roof flew all the way to the front of their house.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, and hopefully I stay on everybody's good side here, but I hate that it takes a tragedy for people to either come together or for people to kind of say like, man, this isn't right. Kind of like what you said with the hotels, like, why does it take a tragedy for you to jack your rates up? Why couldn't you have just opened your doors and tried to fit as many people in as you could? People would probably come to your hotel more if you wound up opening up your doors trying to help people out.
Mm-hmm.
Or why does it take a tragedy and somebody losing their home to finally say, you know what, I should do something? You know what I mean? We should always try and do our best to try and help one another out, because we're all here. We might not be here for a long time, but we're all here together. Why not try and help each other out now? Don't wait until a tragedy comes, people. Seriously. Don't wait until something really bad happens to your neighbor. Don't wait until their house catches on fire or a flood. Always try to do your best to at least try and help somebody out at least a day, once a day. If everybody helped one person out once a day, that'd be a hell of a lot of people that got help that day,
I mean, think about all the boats that was just congregated into a smash pile off the coast. Like, I mean, if I have that type of money, I'm going to get in that boat and I'm going to go the opposite way that the storm is coming. Right. Eventually, you already know you're going to get some rough seas, but eventually they're going to smoothen and calm out based on the situation. But I mean, like you said, it's just crazy that that it takes catastrophic things to really help people out, man. And I'm hoping more than anything that not only is infrastructure improved in Fort Myers and on those coast regions, Key West and Miami, and even up into Louisiana and Texas, and I hope their infrastructure is improved. I hope instead of the cities, dumping money into shit that they ain't got no business dumping money into.
Extra stop signs.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Writing people tickets for not paying their freaking for not paying a parking ticket, but and put that money somewhere else to improve your infrastructure. So when catastrophic events like this happens, you're at least able to keep the taxpayers in that area, safe from these catastrophic events. So I think that's crazy. Let's see what I completely agree. I hate that it takes trying to bring people together, but if it brings us together, it may be the only positive in the whole situation. That is absolutely true. That is very true,
Charles.
That is very true. I mean, yeah, very freaking true. Because right now, we're not even gonna go down this rabbit hole, but I'm gonna say what I need to say.
Go ahead, man. Light it up.
You have so many things that's became a separation block. You know what I mean? And you have catastrophic events that brings people together and be like, hold the hell up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. We need to be taking care of X, Y, and Z. We need to be doing X, Y, and Z. We need to be helping X, Y, and Z. And hopefully that's what happens out of all of this, man. So yeah, man, it's crazy. Just how Ian came out and disrupted, but it put a lot of us Floridians at bay and said, okay, we have seen what worse looks like. Now let's do what we need to do to make sure worse doesn't happen again.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I think, I think it's hard because you always try to learn from the last past tragedy. So, I mean, do I really think some sand walls would have helped out with, as severe as this was? No. Do I think maybe, people would have will heed the next warning? I think so. I think, a lot more people will say, okay, maybe the last time really kind of hit us pretty hard. Let's try and, even if it's small, maybe we'll try and get out. And, to go to Charles's point too, I think maybe, next time those people that can't get out, maybe there'll be a neighbor that'll turn around and say, hey, Mrs. Dinkley down the way, she can't drive too well. She ain't going to get out of here too fast. Maybe we'll go pick her up and speed up. I just off the top of the dome, Mrs. Dinkley, though, that sounded pretty good, right? Like your old third grade teacher that used to whack your hands for talking in class, right? Like
Mrs.
an old
Dinkley.
Yeah, Mrs. Dinkley. She, that old nice nun who always you brought an apple and she hated apples. She liked pears. But I think us as humans are good at trying to prevent something for the next time, and I do think that we all kind of look out for each other when it counts. But I think each time that we have a tragedy, I do think that we try to turn things better for next time, and maybe this will be one of those times that we can prevent something a little bit more, less tragedy instead of the amount of people that passed away this time. God hope nobody passes away, but maybe we can try and bring that number down a little bit more, and maybe we can start working together and making sure that everybody lives out their lives as God intended us to.
Yeah, that's good, man. So, man, next week we have the man, the myth, and the legend, Matt Booth, in the building. If you don't know, Matt Booth is a character. So I want to forewarn not only our viewers, but even our lovely host. If you look at Matt when a question is asked and he just looks at you, just look back at him. That's the best way to get back over it. Just look at him and he'll eventually answer. But I mean, this is great. This is our first time. We had him on in 2020.
Oh wow!
We had him on in 2020, man. And a lot has happened since then, and yeah, man. So I'm excited to talk to him about his move with Forged. What prompted that, and got him to go ahead and do that, man. And we just got a lot of questions. We got a lot of questions for Booth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually looking forward to it. I've smoked a couple 101 cigars, so I'm probably gonna try and pick one up for the show for next week, so that way I kind of have some clarity for that. And I was telling you in the background, when you kind of have trouble trying to find Room 101 cigars, it's kind of hard for you to try and put a cigar to a face.
Yeah.
So when you were like Matt Booth, and I was like, oh, who's Matt Booth? And you're just like, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. So if you were wondering, yes, everybody, I said it. Okay. So I'm sorry, Matt, if you're watching this, don't hate me for that. I've had your cigars.
He can't hate anybody.
Okay. I'm glad. I mean, I'm looking forward to meeting him. I'm looking forward to asking him some questions, and I'm looking to see, this character that you're talking to us about.
So his newest one, if you can find it, is the Los Santos.
Okay.
The Los Santos. It comes in. It pretty much looks like either a firecracker or I like to call it a tampon. That's what it looks like. It's a cigar inside of a tampon.
Oh boy!
And what's crazy is if you know Matt Booth and you know the character that he is, he's the person that had urinal pads with his face on it. So at PCA show, he'll put it in the urinals so you can pee on his face. It's fucking weird. And then last year he gave out condoms at his booth. Room 101 condoms. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, room 1. Hey, like the old cardboard tampons before they became plastic. Like, I know somebody had a mom that used to have the cardboard tampons. I know I'm not the only one. And I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, but I put you out there. 13th anniversary is a newer one. Sancho Panza. That's not the Los. No, Sancho. I'm gonna have to look into that. I haven't heard of that. I know the 13th anniversary came out as a pink wrapper on it. We had them and they were hearing
now. One of my and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm having flashbacks here. Room 101 does a lot of collaborations with Cigar Dojo, correct? They wound up doing the Untitled project, which I believe was that Matt Booth's head on the ramen noodle.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. One of my absolute favorite cigars from 101 and Cigar Dojo was that one. So I'm very familiar with that one. So I love that cigar.
And Dojo does a lot, man. He does a lot with a lot of people. I think he just did a collab with Terrence
and Perdomo.
Yeah, and Perdomo.
Yep.
With the I think it was like a 4x75.
Yep.
Like by 52 or something like that. It was a kind of a Rothschild size. So that was very interesting, man.
Because that's how I kind of got up with 101 cigars, was finding that one and seeing, Matt Booth's head on that challenge coin that they would give you with every purchase of a bundle of the Untitled project. So that was a great cigar.
I want to do a collab with him, P. Johnson, and P. Johnson, and Michael Herlocks.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing a collab with him and LFD. I think that could be one spicy SOB for a cigar.
You say LFD and spicy?
I mean, for me, they always kind of have a little bit of a peppery kind of taste to it. I mean, Oh, come on now. The Capulito too. You don't think that that's got no spice to it?
Yeah, the chapter 2, yes.
Yeah.
That's a. I mean, but that's like one. I'm about to actually go through the process. I'm about to check. So you got the Aura.
Yep.
The Aura Chisel Natural. Aura Chisel Maduro. You have chapter 1, chapter 2.
Yep.
You have the Double Hero Chisel.
Yep. They still have the
25th anniversary.
The 25th anniversary. Yeah, the 25th anniversary, but I don't see that one too much anymore though. Like it's kind of one of those cigars that was like, all right, I'm a big LFD fan, and if Padron can have a $25 cigar, LFD can have a $25 cigar.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it seemed like to me, but I mean, I thought it was a great cigar nonetheless. They also have the Double Ligero, don't they?
They do have the Double Ligero.
Yep.
Yeah, but Double Ligero is not really. I don't know. So I see, and that's the thing, Charles. I'm interested to learn a lot more about Noel Rojas and kind of his story, because I don't know a lot of his story. Now, Pete and Matt used to be in bands, so and they did a lot of like artwork stuff. So it's crazy. Like there's always something interesting. Matt was a Marine too. So those are always good conversation. When I tell him, my ass rise in Navy equipment. He doesn't really laugh on that. But I still say it. Hey, go ahead and close us out with a gem of the week, Sean.
All right, so gem of the week. I'm going to take this time and just kind of just basically say that I hope that everybody kind of takes the time to think about your life. With everything that's kind of happened, over this weekend, starting Thursday into Friday, and then obviously over the weekend with Hurricane Ian, definitely take this time to, think about your life and how good you might have it, or how things might be going a little bit rocky for you right now. And I just think that, like I said earlier in the show, always take the time to try and help somebody. Even if you're at the Dunkin' Donuts line and you wind up buying somebody's coffee, or if you're in the cigar lounge and you wind up offering to buy somebody a stick that's waiting behind you, a little act of kindness goes a long way. And if you're a prayer like I am, always take the time just to kind of pray for those that are going through a lot. You might not think that prayer helps, but let me tell you, the Lord is always watching, and he's always listening. So always send up that prayer, fist bump the man upstairs, and always try and do the best that you can for somebody else.
You know what? And Charles just popped it up, because I was going to ask you, what is our hashtag for the week? Our hashtag for the week is pay it forward.
Yep.
Pay it forward. Pay it forward. I love it. Well, everybody, that has been our time on the show. We are the Virtual Smoke Deck. If you're new to the Virtual Smoke Deck and you're watching from Facebook, go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell. We love those, man. You guys are just freaking phenomenal. So, being able to lock in with us and get those notifications when we go live is always a plus. If you're watching on Facebook, don't be the only one that had this amazing content at your fingertips. Go ahead and press the subscribe button. Go like us, go follow us, turn on the notifications so you can get notified and whenever we go live or whenever we is about to go live. We also are sponsored by Dapper D Cigars as well as McAuliffe. Dapper D Cigars, go follow them at Dapper D Cigars on Facebook and Instagram. They are a brick and mortar lounge located here in Jacksonville, Florida, and it's also my lounge. So I definitely appreciate you guys. If it's something that your brick and mortar doesn't have, go shop DapperDCigars.com. And also McAuliffe, man. We love our McAuliffe family over there. If you haven't tried one, go and try a McAuliffe today. They will be here in Jacksonville second week of October. And McAuliffe is a great brand that is headquartered out of Weatherford, Texas. Have factories in Nicaragua, blend a phenomenal cigar. Majority of their cigars are medium to full body cigars. So if you haven't gave them a shot yet, go give them a shot. They have a bunch of sticks to choose from. I think it's 15 different facings, ranging from $6 to $42 in price point. So go give them a shout. We did miss Johnny. Everybody send a prayer up for Johnny.
Yep.
He has some stuff going on, so he couldn't make it. But we know we love Johnny, and Johnny will be here with us next week.
Love him to death.
Yep. Definitely good show. Thanks, Terry. And Smoke McAuliffe.
You want me to say the line?
Yeah, go ahead.
If you want greatness, smoke greatness. Smoke McAuliffe.
There you go. and we also have a name for us, but we wanna display it next week. But I go ahead and say it because it's gonna be better when it's all three of us. But we are officially the three Smoketeers.
Yeah,
the three Smoketeers.
Smoketeers.
The three Smoketeers. So when we have our third Smoketeer back, Johnny will be like, and we are the three Smoketeers, and we're gone. But until then, we are the Virtual Smoke Deck. I'm Jack, the cigar enthusiast.
And I'm Sean with the smoking section.
And we are the Virtual Smoke Deck. Y'all have a great day. Stay safe, be blessed, and stay smoky.